Hi Sue, as promised, I'm sending you a video on the United Nations and the Sustainable Development Goals. In 2000, the United Nations created the Millennium Development Goals, which were eight goals that were designed to lift the world's poor out of poverty. And each goal had its own identity and its own target. And for example, goal number two was education. That primary education, secondary education should be free and available for everyone. And that was the first goal that we worked under. We also worked under education for employment, still goal number two, which was educating young people. And we believe that if you have an education, you have a better opportunity to get a job. So we worked in that area, not only with primary, secondary school, but also with university and creating workshops to teach young people how to build a roadmap from their secondary education to go on to whether they decided to go to university or trade school. We also linked them with the private sector to help them get jobs in case they decided they wanted to go to university. We weren't asking for scholarships. We weren't asking for handouts. We're asking for young people to be able to get a job and get a decent wage to pay for their own school if they so decided. So that was our work basically with the Millennium Development Goals. The goals ended in 2015, and in 2016, the Sustainable Development Goals were launched. Well, they actually launched in December of 2015. Okay, so then the Sustainable Development Goals came. These were 17 goals. Look at this. We moved from 8 to 17. So these were 17 goals that were designed to lift people out of poverty. A lot of people, like our organization, were a bit skeptical because we thought, wow, 17, that's a lot. You know, that's a lot to focus on. Where do we fit in? How can we best contribute? To make a long story short, we have really focused again, of course, on education, but also on child protection, which is goal number 16. But moving back to education and even moving a little bit further back to the actual creation of the Sustainable Development Goals, as they were being created, because we're an organization with special consultative status, we consulted on the creation of the goals. And we took issue with the fact that we did not feel that there was a large enough spotlight on children, youth, infants. And when we say that, we mean we want to read words that say child, children, boys and girls, youth, teenagers. We want those words to be in the documents. So initially, they didn't feel that was important. Okay, as we're into 2 years now, 2.5 years now, they're beginning to see that yes, that is important. So as we focus on goal number 16, they've included like 16.1 B, 16.2 B, and also with the other goals. They've gone from just the goal number 1 to goal number 1A, goal number 1AB, because they've learned, as we all have learned, it has to be stretched out. You just can't say everybody deserves to get an education. Of course, you can say everybody deserves to get an education, but we're focusing on primary education, secondary education, university education, even going as far back as to daycare education. You know, young people's most formative years are 1 to 3. So not to get all detailed on you. So anyway, this is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are also known as the global goals. And these global goals are supposed to be achieved by 2030. They call it the Agenda 2030. Again, our work has primarily focused on goal number 16, which is justice. Of course, goal number 1, no poverty. But we are also interested in education. Goal number 8, decent work. We're interested in various goals. So when we create our programs, projects, even our pilot projects, they are all created in support of helping the United Nations achieve its goals. And there are other initiatives that we work with the United Nations in or create projects to support the United Nations in simply because of our special consultative status. So every 4 years, we have to submit a report to the Economic and Social Council to say over these past 4 years, this is what our organization did to support the United Nations in its initiatives of A, B, C, D, and E. In the 2019 report that will come out for our work in 2018, this report that was submitted this year to the United Nations will be included, so you will have the opportunity to read it. So that was kind of your crash course in our special consultative status with the United Nations and the Sustainable Development Goals. I try to make it like really simple. So basically, we work with the United Nations. The Sustainable Development Goals are 17 goals that grew out of the Millennium Development Goals, which were 8 goals, and we focus on several different of the goals. Pretty easy. I'll send you a link on the Sustainable Development Goals. Very simple. Don't overthink it. Really easy. And that's it. Thank you, and I will be in touch. Bye.